Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev Ki Jai, Kali Yuga Dharma Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Welcome back. It's time for another Mahabharat Katha session. Things have been revving up, and once again, we get to welcome Krishna into Hastinapur, or at least Yudhisthira does, but we get to welcome Krishna into our lives. So this session is all about welcoming Krishna again and again and again, and how we can do so, and how we can feel safe doing so. But first, as always, we must invoke the presence of Sri Krishna and his eternal abode and all of his associates, family members, friends, loved ones, and each other. We bring ourselves into that most spiritual realm and ready ourselves for this session of prayer and stories by singing Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jannavalapa Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jannavalapa Girivaradhari Jashodanandana Brajujana Ranjana Jamunatiravana Shari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jannavalabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Radhe Govinda Jaya Radhe Govinda Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Shri Radha Govinda Dev Ki Jai Shri Vrindavandam Ki Jai. Now, just before we are ready to begin, one last order of business. We call upon Lord Vasudev to guide us in this meditation, to guide us in this session of prayer so that we can get the best lessons out of this Mahabharat Katha, which is bound to be exciting and is bound to give us some revelations somehow for our lives. And we call upon Lord Vasudev because he can protect the mind and the heart and guide our consciousness in all of the best ways. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And now with that, I think we're ready to begin. Our Mahabharat Katha has been moving forward steadily. We have seen the Pandavas grow. We've seen them come into their own. We've seen them claim their rights on their own kingdom. They now have Indraprasth. They've gone through so many different trials and tribulations, but they have never given up on Krishna. And recently we were speaking about how Jarasandha is a huge problem for everyone, not just the Yadus, but also the Pandavas and all the kings of the earth. He's imprisoned about 20,000 kings. And we're about to hear what he wants to do with them. But first, we find out that Krishna was in his city of Dwarka. And he was thinking about what to do about this Jarasandha. It's a huge problem. Narada Muni comes and says, Yudhishthira Maharaj would like to perform the Rajasuya Yagya, and he needs your help. He needs your assistance. And so, Krishna thinks, well, what should I do? The Yadus want me to go and dispatch, he wants me to go and completely disembody Jarasandha. But Yudhishthira needs my help. He turns to Uddhava. And Uddhava is able to give a solution which helps everyone. Uddhava says if you help Yudhishthir, you'll have to kill Jarasandha anyhow, by some means or other. You'll have to do away with him somehow. And this will efficiently kill two birds with one stone. So now Krishna has decided he will follow Uddhava's plan. So we've been intertwining Krishna book along with these Mahabharat readings so that we understand and we see how Krishna book really weaves in between, using this wonderful, the life pastimes of Sri Krishna. But we get to see how the two combine and hold hands and go together. So after receiving this message from Narada Muni and Uddhava, Krishna addresses the messenger who had come from the imprisoned kings. All the kings sent that merciful messenger to see Krishna first. Krishna told the messenger that they should not be worried. He would very soon arrange to kill the king of Magad, Jarasandha. Thus he wished good fortune to all the imprisoned kings and the messenger. After receiving this assurance from Lord Krishna, the messenger returned to the imprisoned kings and informed them of the happy news of the Lord's forthcoming visit. All the kings became joyful at the news and began to wait very anxiously for the Lord's arrival. This makes me think of us in our daily lives. How many times are we in need of help? Are we in need of assistance? Are we in need of a little mercy or a miracle? And we can think, okay, I've sent my message to Krishna. I've written my letter. Or I've gone before him personally and I've spoken my message to him. Or I've begged someone else, if you could just say a prayer for me. And that person has gone and they said they will speak to Krishna. So my message has been sent. My message has been conveyed to the Lord of my life. And now I have to have faith that the Lord is coming. I have to be joyous and await his forthcoming visit. So we spoke about sending our messages, but backing them up with faith that Krishna will do the needful. That he actually will appear. That he actually will save us. After all of the devotees who have ever sent messages to Krishna, this is what drove their messages home. Faith, determination, hope, conviction. They had faith in their relationship with Krishna, and this is what we should have. So we can also wait for the Lord's forthcoming visit with joy in our hearts, with anticipation. We can think, I will get myself ready. I can get my house ready. Wherever I am, I can be ready because Krishna can come at any moment. I know he'll come, he said he will. The chariot of Lord Krishna began to proceed accompanied by many other chariots, along with elephants, cavalry, infantry, and similar royal paraphernalia. Bugles, drums, trumpets, conch shells, horns, and cornets all began to produce a loud, auspicious sound, which vibrated in all directions. The 16,000 queens, headed by the goddess of fortune Rukmini Devi, the ideal wife of Lord Krishna, and accompanied by their respective sons, all followed behind Lord Krishna. So, as we say, when we sing Jai Radha Madhava, we are invoking not only Krishna, but all of his associates, because Krishna never travels alone. So when he enters into our lives, know that he's coming with a party. He brings the party with him. They were dressed in costly garments, decorated with ornaments, and their bodies were smeared with sandalwood pulp and garlanded with fragrant flowers. Riding on palanquins, which were nicely decorated with silks, flags, and golden lace, they followed their exalted husband, Lord Krishna. The infantry soldiers carried shields, swords, and lances in their hands and acted as royal bodyguards to all the queens. In the rear of the procession were the wives and children of all the other followers, and there were many society girls also following. Many beasts of burden, like bulls, buffaloes, mules, and asses, carried the camps, bedding, and carpets, and the women who were following were seated in separate palanquins on the backs of camels. This panoramic procession was accompanied by the shouts of the people and was full with the display of different colored flags, umbrellas, and whisks, and different varieties of weapons, dress, ornaments, helmets, and armaments. So Krishna had everybody with him. Everybody. Which just lets us know that there's room for everybody in Krishna's abode. Krishna hasn't turned anyone away. Right? Society Girls was a very dainty and delicate way of speaking about prostitutes. So in the Vedic time, there were society girls who were also following and traveling with this caravan. Don't ever think that there is not room for any of us in Krishna's traveling camp. We can all go along. When Krishna enters into our lives, he will enter into all of our lives. Not just some of us. Not just those of us who have been completely pure for the entirety of our lives. Not just those of us who may have been born devotees or born chanting Hare Krishna or born even knowing about Krishna. What I love about Krishna consciousness is that at heart, it says there's room for everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you are doing. Now, if your desire is to surrender your heart to Krishna and say, "Oh my Krishna, I know I have been living this life thinking I can do it all myself, but now I know that I need you. Somehow I've heard about you. Somehow I've heard the glory of your holy name, and now nothing is the same. Now I need you. I need your presence." That's all that's required. And then Krishna takes up special residence in our lives. He says again and again, he's impartial. Right? He's impartial towards demigods or demons, towards the pious and the impious. He's completely partial. However, he's bound with love. He's bound by those who are thinking about him. Bound by those who are ready to say, "Krishna, I'm yours. Oh Govinda, I'm yours." And then he makes room for everyone. He makes sure that there is space for everyone in his traveling camp. So even if we think, "I'm not so rich. I don't have all these ornaments. I don't have all this wealth," Krishna will make room for you. Even if you think, "My life did not go the way I wanted it to go, and I've done things that I am not proud of. I've made mistakes, and I don't even know how I can recover from those mistakes in the eyes of the rest of society." Krishna doesn't care. Krishna says, I've already taken that into account and made room for you anyway. This is the glory of our best friend. He already knows. He's already taken it all into account. He says, "I already knew. I was there for it, seated within your heart, but still I was just waiting for the day when you would turn to me and say, 'Oh Krishna, I wish to join your traveling camp. Are you going somewhere? Just let me follow along with you.'" That's all Krishna wants, is to spend time with us. So there's room for everybody in Krishna's traveling caravan. And there's room as he enters into our lives. There is room made for us in his. Once we call him into our lives, never again should we feel like he might be too busy for us. He has nothing better to do. Nothing better that he must do than to have relationships with his dearest ones and save his dearest ones, his dear devotees What is the definition of his devotees? To be devoted. Right? What is that definition? Let's see. The dictionary says devotion, love, loyalty, or enthusiasm for a person, activity, or cause. Love, loyalty, or enthusiasm for a person. Now, none of those even sound vaguely religious, which is wonderful because it doesn't have to be. Sometimes the idea and the thought of religion, once you mention that word, it gives people hives, you know, like they get allergic reactions to the idea of religion. But this word devotion, to be devoted, to become a devotee, to love, to be loyal to be enthusiastic for, that doesn't sound at all like religion. It does sound like something we can do. And it sounds exactly like what Krishna wants. He says, just fix your mind on me. In fact, if it gives you hives, if you're allergic to religion, all that, fine. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. Just be vulnerable with me. Just come to that inner space of the heart and be with me. This is the person that I worship. This is the person that I love, that I am loyal to, and that I am enthusiastic for. Because he's so lovable. Just when I think, oh, I've got to do so much more, Krishna says, it's not that difficult. You're making it too complicated. And he knows we've been through so much. Our souls have been through a lot. When we carry those impressions, we carry those emotions, we carry those memories, those samskaras, right? We carry all of those impressions on our souls. We've been through a lot in so many bodies. So we are used to, conditioned into being disappointed. Right? We're used to being disappointed. We are conditioned into thinking that we will be disappointed. That's the one thing we can count on in this life, that we will be disappointed. People will leave us. We will be abandoned. So it's hard. It's not easy for us to come to the point of surrender. Constantly, consistently, right? Like one day we might feel it, especially when we're in trouble. And then the next day we're like, oh, but what if? I have to make my own arrangements. Because what if? But if we think about Krishna in this situation, he's going to meet the Pandavas just because they called. He's going to save these 20,000 kings, many of whom have never met him personally. They can't say, oh, I was Krishna's childhood friend, and so he's going to come and rescue me. They have no claim like that. But what they did do was they sent a messenger. They sent prayers. They sent a message of love and surrender. They were vulnerable. They said, oh, Krishna, you have said, if anyone at all just comes to you and they surrender, you will give them all shelter and protection. We have faith in these words. We know. We have lived our lives most of the time thinking, I can handle it. I must handle it. Because if I give it to anyone else to handle, they will fail me. They will let me down. I will be disappointed and left abandoned and alone. But now, Krishna, we're giving it all to you. So isn't that a lot like us? We may not have those claims to say, I was Krishna's childhood friend, we went to school together, and so I know he'll come and save my life. right? We might not be able to say, I was Krishna's maternal cousin, paternal cousin. So we have a familial connection. So he'll come and save my life. But like those many kings who didn't even know Krishna, 20,000. Like those many kings, we can send a message and a prayer. That's our claim. That Krishna, you said, you live in the hearts of everyone. I'm going to take that on faith. And Krishna, you said, if anyone surrenders unto you, then you'll give them all shelter. I'm going to try. And Krishna knows. So what we were saying, Krishna knows it's difficult. He knows all of the scars that our souls carry from an infinite number of lifetimes that we cannot even remember. But the most amazing thing is that Krishna always says, he says to Arjuna, oh Arjuna, many, many births, many lives you and I have both had. I can remember them all, but you cannot. So Krishna can remember this all, and not in a way of condemning us, but in a way of saying, I've seen every single moment that you've gone through. I've been there with you, and I have not abandoned you yet. I will continue to remember them all, even if you don't. I will continue to remember you, even if you forget me. And I will continue to be there for you, even when you don't call out for me. This is our love. This is our best friend. This is our person that we can love, be loyal to, and be enthusiastic for. This is devotion. So that we can do. We can be devoted. Because devotion is about doing those things that come naturally to the heart. We want to love, we want to serve, we want to have those wonderful interactions with our person, and we can absolutely do that with Krishna. And it helps me to know that Krishna will always make space. It helps me to welcome him into my life without fear of judgment, knowing that I can be vulnerable with this person because he's seen everything already. Do we think that when Krishna shows up to help us in our lives, it's because he hasn't seen all the things that we've done? He's seen everything, even the things that we're not proud of. Trust me, he's seen more things than we're not proud of than we even know. I'm sure we've had so many moments in previous lives that if we saw them now, we might be horrified at the way we acted. In fact, we can think about even situations in this life where we think, oh, I can't believe I acted like that. It was so hard-hearted. I can't believe I said that to that person. It was just so mean. I can't believe I did that to that person. I was just selfish. Krishna has seen it all and more. He's been living in the heart regardless, and yet and still, when we call upon him with that love and devotion, when we call upon him with that consistency, he still runs to show up for us. Do we think it's because he doesn't know? He knows. He shows up every single time because he loves us more than we could ever imagine. He loves us more than we love ourselves. More than our ego. More than our idea of our pride. More than whatever vision we have of ourselves. More than any of that is Krishna's love. Krishna, he's willing to drop everything. He's willing to run after us again and again and again, knowing not only what we've done in the past, but knowing that we'll probably forget him again. Now, if we saw somebody who was just in a relationship and they kept running after somebody else, and every time they saved the other person, the person said thank you, and then completely forgot about them, we'd say, this is toxic. Get out of that relationship. Stop putting yourself through such abuse. Who's going to do that for Krishna? When he keeps running after us and we forget him, who's going to tell him that this is toxic? Stop running after them. They're only going to forget you. Ah, he does have a person. And that's where we come to his dearest sister, Maya Devi, Ambe Mata herself. We wonder why she takes her job so seriously. Why is she so strong at what she does? Why is she such a formidable opponent? Why is material nature going to test us so much? Because we're the toxic one in the relationship. How many lifetimes have we said, oh Krishna, I'll worship you, I'll surrender unto you, and then Krishna saves us and then we forget about him? There is someone to say, but they're toxic. Look at what they've been doing. How can you run after them again and again? No, I will test them. And still, Krishna says, for my devotees, I will move you from under that material nature umbrella. I will shelter you with my own umbrella. Still, he says, oh Devi, you are my own energy. And she knows it. And still, he saves us. Even from his own energy. He saves us. Are we worthy of it? And not like, are we worthy like that? We always have a relationship with Krishna. So yes, we're always worthy, but have we acted like it? Have we acted like we have a healthy relationship with Krishna? Or are we still testing him? Right? Usually people are innocent until proven guilty. Krishna's the opposite. He's always guilty in our eyes. You prove it to me. You prove to me that you're God. You prove to me that you can save me. You prove to me that I should love you. Krishna's like, all I've done is love you. All I have done is maneuver this material world just for you. In fact, you were living with me. You had the desire to be worshipped. You had the desire to want to go out on your own. It broke my heart and I let you. I said, okay, because that is love, unconditionally. But still, we say, well, you prove it to me. I will worship you, but if you give me what I want. And if you don't give me what I want, then I'll go away. Because what use is there worshiping somebody if they don't do everything? Give me what I want. Amazingly, Krishna doesn't say that to us. Amazingly, Krishna never says, you know what? I'm not going to save you because you didn't give me what I wanted. We've never been giving him what he wants. And all he wants is our love and affection. But Krishna never says that. So greater than our pride, greater than our sense of self-preservation, greater than all of our fears that tell us you must protect yourself at all costs, otherwise you will be disappointed, greater than all of that is Krishna's love, which keeps coming back again and again and again with his caravan of people just for us, just to save us. No matter who we are, no matter what we've done, no matter what our profession might be. So this procession, being reflected in the sunshine, appeared just like an ocean with high waves and many sharks. In this way, the procession of Lord Krishna's party advanced towards Hastinapur, New Delhi, and gradually passed through the kingdoms of Anarta, Gujarat province, Sovira, Soret, the great desert of Rajasthan, and then Kurukshetra. In between those kingdoms, there were many mountains, rivers, towns, villages, pasturing grounds, and mining fields. The procession passed through all of these places in its advance. On his way to Hastinapur, the Lord crossed two big rivers, the Dristvati and the Saraswati. Then he crossed the province of Pancha and the province of Matsyadesh. In this way, ultimately he arrived at Indraprasth. The audience of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is not very commonplace, meaning not easily had. Therefore, when King Yudhishthir heard that Lord Krishna had already arrived in his capital city Hastinapur, he became so joyful that all his bodily hairs stood on end in ecstasy, and he immediately came out of the city to properly receive him. Here's where we get the choice, right? We get to welcome Krishna into our lives. When we feel Krishna's presence in our lives, when we see the miracles that he starts performing for us, do we recognize him? Can we recognize his mercy when it shows up? There are so many saints and sages who are meditating in the forest. They've wandered to Vrindavan, and then all of a sudden they meet a young cowherd boy who speaks so sweetly and looks so charming. And he says all kinds of things to them. Oh, my dear sir. Sometimes he'll feed them personally. Sometimes he'll answer questions. He'll speak with them. Oh, you have arrived? Do you know where you are? Bilva Mangala Thakur did not even know that he was in Vrindavan. Finally, he met a young boy. Bilva Mangala Thakur was blind, and all he could hear was this sweetly charming voice of this young boy. He asked, "Where am I?" "Oh, my dear sir, you are in that place where there are luxurious kalpavriksha trees everywhere. You are in that place where every leaf chants the name of Sri Radha. You are in that very place where everyone is centered around devotion for one young boy. You, my dear sir, are in Vrindavan." Bilva Mangala Thakur, my goodness, I'm in Vrindavan. I've made it. So there will be so many saints and sages who have seen a charming little boy. Later on, when that charming little boy leaves, they realize, wait a minute, I was seeing my Krishna. The same Krishna I've been meditating on my entire life. I saw him. How was it that I didn't even recognize him? So, when the Lord's mercy shows up in our lives, when his presence is known to us, when we pray and then he answers our prayers, do we recognize him? Can we see him when he shows up? And if so, are we experiencing his presence like this? Are we going into any ecstasy at all? Are our bodily hairs standing on end? Are we running to meet him saying, "Oh, Krishna has come"? Or do we forget? Is it all glossed over and we say, "I was doing this all myself. I was able to save myself, luckily, thankfully, by dint of my own hard work, the perspiration, the sweat of my brow, I was able to save myself. Amazing job I've done." Or have we written those prayers down? Have we journaled about them? Have we made a little voice recording for ourselves so that we can go back and say, "My goodness, I prayed. This time last year I was praying for certain things and then, I see how they came true. Look at how Krishna managed my life. Amazing, he showed up. He was there for me. He arrived. And look at all the blessings he brought with him in his caravan." So it's important that we write these things down. It's important that we share our testimony. Right? When you've done things in a business and you have clients and you're always asking, "Okay, just give me a testimonial," right? Give me a testimony about how you liked our service. Just fill out this little survey. We should be doing that with our prayers. How did they work out? Did they work out how we thought they were going to work out? Or did Krishna do something altogether different that was absolutely still miraculous? Wonderful. But are we writing these things down, sharing our testimonials so that we know and so that others know what Krishna looks like when he shows up in our lives? So that we can later say, no, I believe in Krishna. I believe in him. I chant Hare Krishna. I put forth the endeavor to chant rounds and to meditate, to do japa meditation because I believe in him. Because look, when he showed up in my life, his anklets sounded like miracles. And he bore the fragrance of unconditional love. Are we able to say this? Are we able to say, I was in anxiety thinking about my health, my home, my family, and then Krishna arrived. And he had a wonderful garland made up of all of my prayers. He was wearing that garland. Each flower was like a prayer that I had made, and he had strung it together, and it was full and reaching all the way down to his knees. And with every step, miracles were sprouting like lotuses in his wake. And then, my goodness, the things he said to me. Those are things that I will never forget. This is why I chant. We can hopefully tell our friends. We can make Krishna consciousness our own. We should. Krishna should be a very real personality. He is. Especially if we are praying to him and asking him to show up in our lives. If we are asking him to show up, then we better believe that he is real. And if he is real, then we should know what he looks like when he shows up. My dear Lord, your mercy looks a lot like love to me. So are we writing it down? Can we write it down? Can we take those moments at the end of our day to be a little grateful? To say, oh Krishna, I have seen your mercy today. I saw it in the way that I was breathing differently than yesterday. I saw it in the way that maybe all my problems were not gone, but the weight felt shifted. I have seen your mercy because when I was feeling at my most low, I heard a message at that most perfect time, and that was what I needed to keep going. I have seen what you look like. I have seen the beautiful color of your eyes in the miracles and in the way that you show up in my life. I have seen your glance in the way that you never ever let go of me or my life at any time. I have seen it in the way that you watch over me. I have seen your mercy in the way you save me time and time again. Are we writing it down? We spoke last time about singing the transcendental glories of Sri Krishna in our lives. What are these pastimes that he's having with us? We need to base our faith on this. It will help us. Because this Krishna consciousness is a marathon, not a sprint. We don't get there by burning fast and bright. All we do then is get burnt out. But if we are in it for the long haul, then we must make sure that Krishna is a person, a real person for us. And we must look for the ways that he shows up in our lives constantly. We must look for opportunities to welcome him, just like Maharaj Yudhishthira is doing now. Maharaj Yudhishthira ordered the musical vibration of different instruments and songs, and the learned Brahmins of the city began to chant the hymns of the Vedas very loudly. Lord Krishna is known as Rishikesh, the master of the senses, and King Yudhishthir went forward to receive him exactly as the senses meet the consciousness of life. That's beautiful poetry. Srila Prabhupada has given some beautiful poetry in this Krishna book. If we can have the patience to go through these pages and find it. Lord Krishna is known as Rishikesh, the master of the senses, and King Yudhishthir went forward to receive him, exactly as the senses meet the consciousness of life. It can be as simple as that, knowing what Krishna looks like, knowing how we receive him. How do I receive him? Like my dearest friend. What does he look like? He looks like my life returning. He looks like breath after we've been in that hot, humid outside air. If we've ever been someplace hot and humid where it's oppressively humid and we feel like we can't even take a deep breath, and then we get into that nice air-conditioned room. And it feels like all the weight's lifted off of our shoulders. Right? We feel lighter. We breathe better. Our coloring changes in our face. Everything is different. That's what Krishna looks like when he arrives in our lives. He looks like that best air-conditioned room. He feels like that breath of fresh air. And a lot of people like to say, you know, we would never know what that breath of fresh air feels like had we not experienced the stifling air before. Right? If everything is always nice and beautiful, then we don't know what that mercy looks like. If we're never thirsty, we don't know what it's like when we take that drink of water and we think, oh, Krishna is the taste of water. My Lord, you are so merciful. So this, sometimes, we hear that in those moments of strife, we experience Krishna's presence so much more when we have gone through so much. The demigods are constantly searching after ways to find Krishna because their lives are so posh and nice. They say, we are not able to perfect our devotional service because our lives are too nice. Our jobs are too important. We're too awesome. But the human form of life, there's something unique about it. It's filled with suffering. It's filled with suffering beyond our control. We are not in control of anything. The demigods have suffering as well. They're kicked out of their kingdoms. They have to go and fight for their lives, but they have a greater degree of control. So they feel like we're in control. I should be able to solve this myself, but the human form of life. Now this is where we make our progress. And why? Because we always know what it's like. When we get out of that air-conditioned room and everything is oppressively humid, then we go back in and we experience, that breath of fresh air. So when Krishna says, of all purifying things, I am the wind, and we go, yes, you are. Because I know what it feels like when we need to open that window and the wind comes in and everything is just, he breathes new life into us. But through this human experience, we've gotten to realize that. And so Srila Prabhupada says, he makes that bold claim that demigods are lining up, waiting in line to take human births in Krishna conscious families so that they can perfect their devotional service and realize Krishna constantly. We have such an opportunity. We feel fear. We feel sorrow and grief. Such incredible grief. We feel those burdens so that when they are lifted, are we recognizing them as Krishna's direct presence in our lives? We must. This is what makes our Krishna consciousness real. This is what makes it lasting. This is what allows us, enables us to keep going when times get rough, because they're going to get rough. When they get better, we must make sure that we write down, I saw Krishna today. I can testify. I saw him. I was feeling so low, so sick, whatever the case was. And then, even if it's just that I had that one glass of the best water, Krishna is absolutely the taste of this water. I saw him. I tasted it just for that minute second. Because I know that there are people that are not experiencing this. They're not having the experience of clean water. But I am. I did. So it doesn't mean that we should never feel sorrow. Right? We understand that the hard times come upon us, and it is natural. Just as we don't condemn ourselves for sweating in the summer or shivering in the winter. As spiritual people, as devoted people, we can't condemn ourselves for feeling. Just because somebody might have it worse. So we can't condemn ourselves for feeling. Just the same way as like if we're sweating in the summer, like, oh, this body, I condemn you. How could you? We decide, we understand that it's natural. Right? And we continue going despite it. We shiver in the wintertime. We understand that it's natural. We kind of bundle up more. And we continue going. But we can understand that we're going to feel. We're going to have these sorrowful moments. We're going to feel worried. We're going to feel anxious. We're going to feel grief. We're going to feel sadness. We are going to feel upset. And then we keep going. Write it down. Pour out your heart in the form of those messages to Krishna so that he has the fullest garland when he comes to see you. Know that he will adorn himself with all of those prayers. Make sure his garland is nice and full. Make sure you're talking to him about everything, because if there is one person who will never get tired of your complaining, it's Krishna. He will always listen. He wants to listen. So happy or sad, talk to him. Write to him. Speak to him. Send your messages again and again and again. Send them. This is what makes it real. This is how we can welcome Krishna into our lives always, if we are communicating. Otherwise, if we don't communicate, we're going to have a really interesting relationship. You ever see those people, they go for counseling, for relationship counseling, and they get there and the person's like, well, are you guys even communicating with each other? You guys are looking in two different directions. At least look at each other. This is us with Krishna. Have we looked at him? Have we communicated? Have we sent him a text message today? Right? We're so engaged with messaging so many other people. Have we messaged Krishna? Have we sent him a little message to say, hi, I love you. How was your day? And he'll say, how was your day? You can tell him all about it. But have we reached out? If not, then it's no wonder that we feel bereft of that connection. Because Krishna is always waiting to have that connection with us, but we will feel bereft if we are not communicating. And feel free to be open and honest with Krishna. He already knows. Remember, we said he's already been there, so we must be honest. That is what Krishna prizes. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prized that honesty and that sincerity over and above everything else. He showed special favor to those devotees who even came before him and honestly and sincerely opened their hearts and said, my Lord, I have made mistakes. But because I've made so many mistakes, I am in dire need of your mercy. And he understood that. And he gave that mercy. This is Krishna's mercy on us. If we go before him and we are honest and sincere, he will give that mercy. But if we continue the cover-up of our own self, right? If we continue to put those masks on, not the health-related masks for the outside, but those spiritual masks on, right? So that Krishna can't see us. If we keep saying, oh, Krishna, I'm your devotee, and I've been praying for you, I've been praying to you for so long, you should just come help me. Krishna's reciprocal. What is there in that to reciprocate with? He can't reciprocate with somebody who's got it all handled. Right? There's nothing, if your cup is already filled up with all of your potency, what can Krishna pour in? But if we come to him, we say, oh my Lord, I'm on empty. I need you. He says, oh, take it all, no problem. I was just waiting. I would have poured it in before, but there was nothing. There was no room for me. Can we make room for Krishna? Can we give him the reins so he can make room for himself? Can we trust him enough to say, oh Krishna, you make all the space you need. Take it all. Take all the space you need, and I know that you will be doing what is best for me. Can we have that faith? This is what makes Krishna consciousness real. Following in those footsteps of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yudhishthira wanted to perform a great sacrifice. He said, I need Krishna. Let me send a message. Oh Krishna, we need you. I need you to make the decision. I need you to tell me what's right for me. Do we trust him enough? Or do we think, if I ask Krishna to do what's best for me, then he'll just take away everything that I love. And then I'll be left with nothing. When does he do that? Krishna's so sweet. If we look at all of the examples of his devotees, he doesn't leave them stranded. When they pray, he gives them the things. Vamanadev, he took from Bali Maharaj, but then gave him an entire kingdom that looks more beautiful than the heavenly planets. He said, I'll personally come and protect it. And if any of the demigods seem to get a little bit envious of your kingdom because it looks better than theirs, I'll personally fight them on your behalf. This is our Lord. We can't be so afraid of him. We can't put all of our disappointments on him. It's time to stop making Krishna suffer for the mistakes of other people. Other people have disappointed us. Other people have abandoned us. Other people have mistreated us and abused us. Yes. It's time for us to stop making Krishna suffer for the mistakes of those other people. Krishna didn't do it. He's the sweetest. And he always wants the best for us. So just like Maharaj Yudhishthira, he's praying. He says, oh Krishna, I need you to come make this decision. Krishna ran there. There was a reason he spoke to Uddhava. He knew Uddhava was going to give him the right conclusion, the solution that he wanted in his heart, which was to save his family and friends. He could have killed Jarasandha a long time ago, but he wanted to save his family and friends. He wanted to include his family and friends in his adventures. He wanted to lift up the glory of his family and friends. So this is our Krishna. We have to have faith in this Krishna. King Yudhishthira was the elderly cousin of Krishna. Naturally, he had great affection for the Lord, and as soon as he saw him, his heart became filled with great love and affection. He had not seen the Lord for many days, and therefore he thought himself most fortunate to see him present before him. The king therefore began to embrace Lord Krishna again and again in great affection. The eternal form of Lord Krishna is the everlasting residence of the goddess of fortune. As soon as King Yudhishthira embraced him, he became free from all the contamination of material existence. He immediately felt transcendental bliss, and he merged in an ocean of happiness. This is how we can welcome Krishna. When we see him, when we see that mercy enter into our lives, embrace it with both arms. When we see those opportunities of mercy and grace come upon us, embrace it with both arms. Write your testimonial so that we know what Krishna looks like when he appears, so that we know what he sounds like, so that we know his unique fragrance of love in our lives. And this is the result. As soon as King Yudhishthira embraced him, he became free from all the contamination of material existence. He immediately felt transcendental bliss and emerged in an ocean of happiness. So this is what we have to look forward to. When we welcome Krishna into our lives, this is what we have to look forward to. Becoming free from all those trials and tribulations. We get to merge into an ocean of bliss and happiness. Don't we want that? All it takes is welcoming Krishna into our lives. Thank you so much for being with me for this Mahabharat Katha session. It was wonderful getting to just speak a little bit, talk freely about Krishna and our Krishna consciousness and what makes us tick, how we can continue going, and how we can support and encourage each other and ourselves in Krishna consciousness. So thank you for being here with me. On Monday, we'll continue, and I think we'll steamroll ahead so that we get to this next exciting portion. We get to talk about Jarasandha and what happens to him. It'll be wonderful, filled with lots of lessons, filled with adventure and intrigue and swashbuckling and wrestling and all kinds of things. But most importantly, it will be filled with our best friend, the Lord of our lives and the embodiment of all the love in the universe. It will be filled with Shri Krishna. Until then, I'm wishing you all the best. Thanking you all for being a part of these sessions. Without you, they would not be possible. So see you back here Monday, same time, same place. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev Ki Jai. Hare Krishna to all, and to all a good night.